I'm Petty, of course, because we're in Gainesville. Frank Frangie, Hayes Carline, Lauren Brooks, and what a pleasure to welcome in Todd Golden, the basketball coach at the University of Florida, who joins us now in Gainesville. Todd, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Great to be with y'all.
Thanks for joining us. You joined us last year when we did this, so we sure appreciate it. I'm going to get to it's been busy. I'm going to get to the specifics of it in a minute because there's a lot to talk about. But it's been a year now.
Yeah.
When we got here last year, I don't think you knew where you were living. I don't know if your assistants were here.
I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah. So how – not much easier because it's never easy, but how much different is it now, recruiting, getting set, planning, now that you've got this year under your belt?
Yeah, no, I think it's fair to say it's easier just because we're more comfortable. We have a much better understanding of who we are, where we are, what we need to do moving forward. And the last year, it's been a whirlwind. Like, it didn't really feel that long ago that we were in here, talking a year ago. Obviously, we've, just had a very quick year that way. But, yeah, we feel a lot more comfortable about moving forward in terms of kind of building this program the right way.
Riley Kugel had such a huge year for you.
Yep.
What kind of growth can he take into year two, and what are some areas of his game that you feel like he can really elevate and provide even more?
Yeah, Riley did a fantastic job. Obviously, played intermittently at the beginning of the year. Once we got into conference play, really took off. And I think, honestly, outperformed expectations to an extent, especially once Colin got injured. I think he finished the year with 9 games, averaging close to 20 points. And for any freshman in the SEC, it's incredible. And I think for Riley, obviously we're really pleased to have him back, for his sophomore year. And I think he'll take on more of a leadership role and really be able to raise the level of competition within the program. And a great guy to kind of build as a foundational piece as we move forward.
Todd, how excited are you about Walter Clayton Jr.?
I'm thrilled about Walter Clayton Jr. That was a really, really big one for us in terms of the momentum of our program. And going back to Riley, obviously a kid from Orlando, so a local young guy who is a huge part of our program, not only last year as we move forward. Walter's from Lake Wales, about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of here. And another guy that, as we continue to build this program, we want to do it with a lot of young men from Florida. And so for him to come back home, choose us over going to St. John's with his former coach, it was just a huge moment for our program, and I think it speaks to, what we're building here.
Todd, you've now Logged, am I saying that right? Micah Logged,
yep.
Obviously Edge Jarvis, and you talked about Walter.
Yep.
That's 3 good players. Now,
yep.
and I know you're not done in the portal,
right.
But that's the world we're in now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's just because you're building a program. Is that the world we're going to live for a while?
I think it's going to be a balance. My goal as we continue building is to get to the point where we're building with the freshmen from the ground up. And we have a very good freshman class that way this year, and I think they're going to be integral parts as we keep going. But in the meantime, as the one-time transfer exceptions in place, as a lot of these student athletes have that COVID year still available, the transfer market's going to be a big part of this. So I think, for us, it's got to be a healthy balance. We don't want to be too top-heavy with a bunch of old transfers where we feel like we're reloading our roster every year, 7, 8, 9 guys. But you also don't want 7 freshmen trying to compete in this league. You're going to get your butt kicked. So we got to have that healthy balance. But year 2, it's going to be a sprinkle both ways. And as we move forward into 24, 25, we want to do it with a lot of really good freshmen. But I think there will be some transfers sprinkled in as we continue to build.
Last year you had to, obviously when Colin got hurt, but even before, you had to play small, man. You had Richard and Kugel playing the 3 and the 4, it looked like sometimes. I got to believe you didn't want to go through that again. I mean, there's a lot of big guys, right? I mean,
right.
that had to be really difficult.
Yeah, no, I think one of the hallmarks of our teams that were really successful at San Francisco is we were big, we were strong, we were physical. Even at the mid-major level, we had a high-major roster. And I think last year, and, we were obviously trying to add another big next to Colin for a majority of the spring, and we just weren't able to find one that was willing to take on kind of that supplemental role next to him. So we knew going into the year we were going to be light, and we weren't going to be big enough, and we were going to have to find, manufacture ways to survive out there. And through the middle of the season, we got to the point where we were doing it pretty well, 6-3 in league, beating Tennessee when they were number 2 in the country, and we kind of figured ourselves out. But then when Colin goes out, that just goes out the window, and then we're playing catch-up the rest of the way. So having more depth, having more size is something that's going to be really important in the success of our program in year 2.
How important was it to get Jarvis so early, and what kind of player do you think he can be for you?
EJ's he's huge for us. All 3 of the transfers that we're able to get are huge in their own way. But EJ, just first of all, a huge winner. 3 or 4 Ivy League championships, a guy that went undefeated on the EYBL circuit, and then obviously Yale degree coming down here, 12-7 and 2 blocks a game, and a winner, a guy that wants to lead, selfless, gritty, just has all those characteristics that you want in a leader in your program. And he came here. He was, had visits set up at Miami, at Georgetown, in his hometown. Once he got here, he wanted to be here, which spoke a lot, very highly of our program and the way it's going, but also his willingness to come in. And we talked to him about being a leader and kind of taking on that role as he gets here to campus. And, one thing that we loved about him is he wants to play, obviously, but he's like, hey, I want to play with good players. I don't care if I start or be the first big off the bench. I just want to be a part of this and get this program back to the NCAA tournament. So when he says those things, it resonates with our program and was a huge get for us.
Did you know when you faced UConn how good they would eventually be this season?
Yes. I knew they were that good when we played them.
Yep.
Right.
And, we played them a week or so after the PK 85. They were on the other side of the bracket with us out there, but they ran through everybody out there. They won, all 3 of their games by more than 10 points. And, going into the season, we're like, all right, this is a great game. We're going to have a top 25 team at home. Well, we didn't expect it to be the best team in the country at home, nor did anybody know at that time, I would say publicly that they were that good. But when we played them, they were different. They were deep at every position. They had shot makers. They had defenders. They had rim rollers, rim protectors. They were deep and talented, and Coach Hurley did a great job of building that roster out where everybody accepted their role. And so they had a little lull at the beginning of a Big East play, but towards the end of the year they got rolling, and as you saw in the tournament, nobody could play within 10 points of them. They were a really, really special college basketball team.
Todd, we're media people. Media people always look for these trends. Well, FAU and San Diego State are in the Final Four, Miami too. They weren't blue bloods.
No.
But then again, Kansas, North Carolina, Duke were all in it a year ago.
Right.
Are there trends, or do we overthink that sometimes?
Yeah, I think it's overthought a little bit. The narrative is always the play, right? What narrative can we go with? And I have the most respect for Dusty and his program at FAU. That was another team that we had in our gym that we knew was really, really good that other people didn't know at the time. But they were down, 4 or 5 points with a minute and a half to go against Memphis in the first round of the tournament. And if they don't win that game, there's no, story that they create. But to their credit, they got it done. But the ball bounces, your way once or twice. You get on a little bit of roll, a little bit of a heater, and they did a great job of taking advantage of their opportunities. But I think there is more parity now. You look at a team like San Diego State, they're old. They were able to keep that group together for a long time. They're playing 23, 24-year-olds. So that closes the gap against your blue bloods like Carolina or some of these other teams that are trying to play younger guys that may be highly rated, but they don't have the experience or, the success at this level. So I think that might close the gap a little bit. But my guess is that those blue bloods / these high majors will continue to rise to the top as we continue on.
Tell us about Micah and what you liked about him.
Yeah, Micah is another huge one for us. He was probably the best rim protecting and rebounding freshman in America last year. Comes from great bloodlines. His father played in the NBA for a couple years. Played in the NBA system at Marshall. D'Antoni runs really good stuff. And we look at him as a guy that we think is going to take a huge jump going into his sophomore year, be more of an effective scorer, somebody that we can throw the ball to and let him make some plays for us like we allowed Colin to do. But that defending on the back line and that rebounding on the back line is something that's going to be huge for us that we needed to replace with Colin leaving. You put him with Edge and some of these other guys, I think we're going to be in really good shape that way.
How close have you gotten to Billy Napier?
Billy's great. He's great. Our son's playing the same baseball team, so we have that, every Monday night we get some time together.
I love it.
Going out there. And, it's funny because a lot of the same things that he went through with his team in year one, we ended up going through with our team in year one, so we can bounce different things off each other and support each other through the process, because it's not easy, rebuilding a program and getting programs back to where they belong. And there's this constant want of being there now. But if we want to do it the right way, it's just not going to happen, that way. We need to build it up and make sure that we're stable and have that great foundation built. And I have full confidence that he's doing it right now. I'm excited to watch his club play tonight. But great man, great husband, great father, and someone that I enjoy spending time with.
Tell me about Gainesville. Family like
Love
it? Wife, kids?
It's incredible.
Do we all like
Incredible.
Gainesville?
I want to be here forever. It's an incredible place to raise a family. My wife Megan loves it. Her tennis game has gone through the roof since we've been down here. And,
can she beat you?
She'll work me out there for sure. And our kids, they're loving school. They're enjoying. My son's playing baseball and basketball. My daughter's doing gymnastics. I mean, this is just a great place for a family. And we've enjoyed every second of it. And the people in the community have been great. And like I said, San Francisco is great to us. Obviously, we're not here if we don't have that opportunity. But, you say, where do you want to raise your family, San Francisco or Gainesville? It's Gainesville 100 times out of 100.
Still have a few scholarships remaining.
Yeah.
Without getting into specifics,
Sure.
What in a general sense are you looking to still add to this year's coming team.
Yeah, I think we need one more guard and one more front court guy, specifically, and then with that last one, we'll kind of float around and see what we have, and maybe take best available, or get a young guy that we think has potential. But if we get one more good guard, and I think we're close on a couple, we get one more big, same. I think we're close on a couple. Then I think we'll have the roster and the team that we need to compete in this league next year.
Do you exhale deeply once the portal closes?
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean it's it's a mad dash a little bit. Trying to kind of figure out where everybody's going, what everybody's doing. But May 15th, I think, is when it's finished. I'm hopeful that we'll be done long before that, to be honest. But it'll be a good time to kind of unwind, recalibrate, and get ready for our summer workouts, which start in the middle of June.
Let me ask you about some of the other guys we haven't gotten to. Alex Fudge is the Jacksonville guy.
Yep.
Will Richard's a guy that at times looked like a very good offensive player,
sure.
young player.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about Thomas Haw. We don't know much about him.
Yep.
Condren from Australia. Tell us about the guys we don't know much about.
Yeah, Alex, obviously local guy, Jacksonville, had an up and down year for us. I think a guy that can, we'll have to kind of accept a certain role next year, but can be really effective. And when he was playing well, at the beginning of league play before he got concussed, we were playing some really good basketball. But he was, he was defending, rebounding, getting out in transition, using some of his athleticism. And Will is a guy, that we love, and that is he's a Gator, man. He's a great guy. Accepts his role, does a great job. He's 60 from 2, 40 from 3, just an efficient basket maker. And again, a guy that I think will take a big jump going into his second year in the SEC. But a great. Just a great teammate that way. And then Thomas and Alex, our two signed freshmen at the moment, they're great. I love them. I think they're going to be really good players for us. I'm not sure how much impact they might be able to make as freshmen, but guys that I think will be long-time and really impactful players within our program. Thomas comes from Pennsylvania, had a great prep year this year at Perkiomen, and Alex is Australian, comes from the Center of Excellence. As I mentioned, is released yesterday, playing through the same program that Andrew Bogut, Joe Angles, Patty Mills, my college teammate, played within. And all of my people over there, speak incredibly highly of him and what he's been able to do. I think he's going to be really good for us.
Todd, can you get, in this day and age, and I guess every coach fights this a little bit, but you're going to have a good roster. So you're going to have a lot of bigs. You're going to have some young bigs that have to wait their turn a little bit.
Yeah.
Alex Fudge, like you said, is a really athletic guy, but he's probably going to have a little more narrow focus this year. Will guys do that in this day and age? That's probably not a fair question, man.
It's a fair question.
Does it happen?
It does. It happens, and honestly, it's part of getting good. I think you got to get your program to the point where you have that many good players where there's healthy competition, and the easiest way to manage those personalities or manage expectations, there's going to be people that aren't happy with their rules. That's going to be every program in America. There's 13 scholarships. You can only play, 8 or 9 usually in a given rotation. There's going to be guys unhappy. Well, how do you handle? Well, if you win, people can't really say much, and I think that's the key component to all this. If you're struggling and you're not winning, then people are going to bark and they're going to talk about playing time and stuff like that. But if you're winning and doing a good job that way, there's only so much that people can say. So, my message is we want to get as many great players as we can, let them fight it out, let the cream rise to the top, and then we'll manage it from there.
How exciting and how beneficial can the Gators Victorious, the new NIL format, how can that benefit your program?
I think it's going to super benefit our program. Just the organization of it, the community service aspect of it, I love. The guys that are getting their NIL in accordance with the community service that they do, which I think is really, really good, that there's a true piece to it, in that regard. And to have, just an organized group that's supported that way is great for when these student athletes get to campus and they can engage with the collectives and kind of see what opportunities there might be out there. It's organized, it's well run. I think it's going to be really good for us.
You're well known for your study of analytics. How much of that, though, did you have to adjust last year with the team that you had?
I think we still tried to use it to the best of our abilities. There were some moments where I thought we used it great, and there were other times where, it just didn't matter as much. So, moving into next year, I do believe there's going to be more opportunity. And then in the recruiting process, we've definitely used it to identify guys like EJ, Walter, to go out and kind of try to go target and go get those guys as quickly as we could.
Over the years, and I grew up in the SEC, okay? Unlike our friend Roxy Bernstein who grew up out there. I grew up here. The league wasn't a great league. It was Kentucky and then whoever else happened to be good that year. Mm-hmm. It was Florida for a long time. But league's good now, bro.
It's great.
I mean, it's really good. I mean, how do you assess it? You've been all over. It's as good as any league playing now, right?
Yeah, I go back to my time when I was at Auburn, and I remember when my first year here in the league was doing all these different things to attempt to get more teams in the tournament. It was down a little bit, in that 2014 to 16 range, or I guess 12 to 14 range. Now, flash forward to now, I thought we had a heck of a year to finish 9-9 in league with, our injuries and what we went through, specifically because Arkansas finished 8-10.
Right.
And they finished 8-10 in our league, a team that went to the Sweet 16, a team that had 3 lottery picks on their roster. And that speaks to the competitiveness of this league. And so, in a way, it's a great thing. You can go under 500 in our league and still, wear home jerseys in the NCAA tournament. That's the respect that our league has. And it's a challenge, but at the same time, there's opportunity. Every night you're going to have opportunity to go out and plant your flag and get a statement win. And that was the message that we had with our guys. We had a lot of close losses early in the year. But getting through and getting to that Tennessee game and winning that game, if Colin stays healthy, and we're going to be in the tournament that way with that and just getting to that point. So the opportunities are prevalent, and I think it's great that we're able to take advantage of those things.
Will you guys play as difficult a non-conference as you played this past season? I think Michigan has been announced, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
no, you're right.
Do you anticipate this coming out of conference being as challenging as it's been in years past?
Yeah, I hope it's a little less challenging than last year.
Right.
And I don't think I think that was a little bit of just luck in the sense of, or bad luck in terms of, FAU being a Final Four. We played 8 of the 16 Sweet 16 teams last year on our schedule. One of them, Miami, was in a scrimmage. So 7 of them, were real games. Only 3 of them in the SEC. We played 4 Sweet 16 teams in the non-conference. So that's a really challenging schedule, especially for year one as you're trying to build a program, gain some confidence, do some different things like that. But I think this year might be a little lighter, but we're going to have some really, really tough games. We got the ACC, SEC Challenge. We're going to be on the road for that. We got Florida State coming home. As you said, we got Michigan in the Jumpman. We're playing in the preseason NIT in Barclays, which will be Baylor, Pitt, and I think a Big Ten team to be named. So there's going to be some challenges, and it is what it is, and we'll just take advantage of those and see, just try to get through it the best we can.
What position does your son play in baseball, and how much do you coach him?
It's great. He's all over, and they do a great job. Nick Peterson, actually one of the track coaches here, is one of their coaches as well, and he's awesome. But he plays all over. He'll play pitcher, first base. They put him at second, and then I don't coach at all. I sit there. I enjoy the fact that I don't have to coach at all. My wife will scream when he's running the bases, but I just chill. Billy's the same. We enjoy that little time off out there.
And you deserve that. Hey, final thing.
Sure.
This is a big, proud university athletic program.
Yeah.
They're good at everything. Sully may win the thing this year. The gymnastics, if Lauren doesn't lose her mind over here. You turned it off. You couldn't watch it.
That's not a good sign.
I did for the video purposes, so we wouldn't all be distracted.
But you've got to be a nervous wreck.
I am
over there.
freaking out a little bit that I'm not watching.
I even told Todd, I said, Todd, if she's not paying attention.
I was good with it.
Okay,
I was good with it.
But this is a place that's won national championships and everything.
Right.
And it's one of the reasons you took the job. I'm guessing one of the reasons you're excited about.
The main reason.
Are your goals to get to the mountaintop? Obviously it is. Are you as confident as you ever were that this program, this team, this city can be that? Speak to that a little bit, because that's what people want to hear, and that's what they want to know.
No, of course. And you said it. That was when we had some great opportunities last spring with other institutions, but when Florida came calling, it was a no-brainer. Not only have they done it, but they've done it relatively recently, going back to obviously the days of Torian and Joakim and Al and those guys back when I was in college. So I've seen it before. I think we're on the trajectory that we need to be in terms of building this program back up. Listen, it's not happening overnight. You got to get some classes in. You got to get your freshmen up. You got to get older that way. But we have the right people on the bus. I feel like we're bringing in the right people. We're winning the recruiting battles we need to win to get back to the top of the league. And I think we'll have a much more improved product on the floor this year. And my goal is that every year we're improved over the year before.
Todd Golden, the Florida basketball coach. Hey, man, thanks for doing this. We
it's my
appreciate
pleasure.
you joining us. And congratulations on what looks like a lot of momentum in your program.
I appreciate that. Good.